see it. Yeah. It's missing an O and a U, and it's got an I instead.
That's amazing.
Every convention, it's hysterical because I'll see on the list, like at signings for Marvel booth, it's always spelled wrong. Always.
Now, did you not do the lettering for the credits?
No. That was the one thing I didn't do.
Okay.
I did everything else in it except like sort of the design work. Mm-hmm. So any of the story pages, everything on there was me, obviously, except I didn't do the artwork. I just I would go through. They sent me the actual video with a timestamp on it, so I would go through it all step by step and see the exact
frames.
I would pick the frame, I'd write down the frame number and say, send me these, and so they would send me over full screen-sized images, and then I would take those and adapt them.
How long did it take compared to putting together your own comic?
It's funny, I could probably draw it faster than I put this together.
It sounds like
they're started giving me the scripts now, which they're very protective and they don't want to make
leaks and stuff.
Yeah, so my name is on everything, so if it ever got out, they would know come right after me. The video, I can only view it online. They won't let me download it. Yeah. So sometimes I'll get like buffer issues. I'm trying to get the scene and figure it out, but you have to incrementally go through every. So I've seen the first episode 30 times. Just because you have to.
Does it get better each time?
Actually, it does hold up, which is it's a credit to those guys, is that it really did hold up through multiple viewings. How you miss stuff. It's just funny. You see stuff in the background, or just even. It's a very I don't know if you obviously haven't seen the movie you'll see it today. Very Ferris Bueller-esque, if that's a word.
Because he talks to the camera.
He does.
Breaks the fourth wall.
And even there's scenes where he's in the middle of the scene and will stop, and there's almost like a freeze frame behind him, and they'd be like, "Can you believe this?" Or like that kind of thing.
I confess, it was a guilty pleasure to watch Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
I used to love it when Zach more.
Yeah, it does hold up, and I guess again, they had the best guys there. They had Joe Kelly, they had Paul Dini ran this thing, and then Jeff.
Army.
But they had just like the movies now, they have the guys coming in and saying, this is what's great about Spider-Man, and let's get rid of the rest. Yeah. So it really does work out well, and so viewing this 50 times, in a sitting, still held up.
So how did you get involved? Were you involved with Man of Action on other things, and they brought you in on this, or?
No. What happened is, I'm one of those weird guys at Marvel where I have so many different skills that work. Like I've written books, I've drawn the books, I've laid out books, I've designed books, I know production, and they kind of said, well, this is the one-stop shop, and so they just said, why don't we let Chris do everything? And they just said, do the book. So they said, it's yours to do, and then they said they were a little unsure, like, how are you going to do this? What are you going to do? And I laid it all out, plotted it all out, pulled all the script out, and then I got the art for it, and I did the first page, sent it in on a Saturday morning, and the editors wrote right back, go, just do it, this is awesome, this is perfect, this is what we want.
Now this is separate and apart from anything that Dan Slott and Todd Templeton are doing, right? They were doing some sort of...
Correct. There's going to be an ongoing Ultimate Spider-Man book that is based on the TV series, but not...
directly adapted.
Yeah, it's not adapted like this is. So this is going to be, we're going to be 4 issues, the first 4 episodes, and we're going to put it together into a trade and release that.
Right, I think you said it was a digest, right?
Right. So this is going to be, what I'm doing is adapting directly from the TV show. They're going to take new stories based on, because it is different from Amazing Spider-Man continuity or the Marvel 616 continuity. It's going to be, and it's even different from the Ultimate Comics side. I mean, when you see it, you'll see it's just a total departure in a lot of ways, but bringing some of the cool stuff of the Ultimate line and then the cool stuff from the Marvel proper line that brings it together, so it's a nice...
So, is it challenging to take this approach, to be going through these one by one? I mean, is it taxing on you?
Similar question. Mine was going to be, you're taking these screenshots, and there are, let's say, the toasted line. Eventually you're going to be toasted, he turns into a toaster, and then there's that, him turning back into Spider-Man and whipping away. Did you struggle with trying to translate that from screenshot into a comic book?
Oh yeah. The hardest part is the action scenes.
Yeah.
Where he's 50 things are going on at once, and in a comic book, it's sort of like he can, whip, and then he gets the bad guy, and we're done. This one, they're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I sort of had to streamline down a lot to sort of make it fit into a comic. Because I would have to take like 60 pages just to tell this thing in true, proper storytelling. So there's moments where I kind of cut it short a bit in space. So it's not exactly.
It probably makes you think a lot about, always that debate that rages in comics over compression and decompression and stuff, because you have to compress it all.
Well, this one, I'm not even decompressing it. I'm actually hyper compressing. It becomes almost 9 pounds a page trying to fit all the info that you want to get across. So it takes a little maneuvering to get it right, but once I get that plot down and you get the strong beat, like even at the end of this one, the first one, there's a whole big scene where he kind of realizes he has to decide, does he want to join up with S.H.I.E.L.D., does he not? And there's this whole thing where he kind of zips through the city and goes up to the helicarrier. The thing takes like 3 minutes in the show, and I had to compress it into 1 page. And so I sort of had to pick and choose the right scenes and the beats and then cut it a bit short because he had a whole big battle. But, it wasn't imperative to the story in the comic to tell him just having a battle with some of the robots.
Now, when you take a situation like that where he's spending all this time swinging, are you adding something with the writing to fill that space?
Yeah, there's moments where it can be told really well visually. Am I holding you up? Okay. Where, obviously when you have motion and stuff, you can tell it much better. And when you crop an actual panel, it makes no sense. So I actually had to add in some dialogue here and there, and scene description or a thought, a lot. Because again, in this it tends to be more of thought captions as opposed to the talking to the camera. Mm-hmm. But we have that at our disposal to use instead of, but a TV show doesn't have that. Captions going on the screen. So I had to, add to it a little bit here and there. Luckily, I've written Spider-Man in the past, so I can throw in a couple little Spider-Man quips that flow with the story. And
in Spider-Man Unlimited, right? Wasn't it in one of those anthology books? I believe didn't you do?
I've done a couple things. I did some Spider-Man, Marvel Adventures Spider-Man, and there's Spider-Man Family Story. I did.
Right, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
So I've done.
Wasn't with the Frog Thor, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah,
That's great.
So I've done it. I've been there. So I was able to add it pretty seamlessly to the. It could have been added, I think, anyway, to the show if I were there in this, writing it with them. But there had to be some added thing to kind of help move the story along. Because sometimes you just look at it and go, okay, they're punching each other. What, nothing happens. Like explain, what's going on. So hopefully it adds to the experience of the comic.
Well, let me ask. Speaking of, you have the cartoon, and then you have the comic of the cartoon. What is the motivation behind producing a comic of the cartoon that's pretty much almost the same experience, just on paper?
I think there's now I'm not privy to the marketing team and what they're planning to do, but I think what it tends to do is it's a product that if kids are watching tomorrow morning and they see this, you get. I like Spider-Man, I want some more Spider-Man, and a parent can look and say, oh wait, there's an adaptation. This what I saw on TV, my kids saw it's safe and good and it's going to be available readily, and we can give it to the kids. And then what that does is gets the kids into reading comic books again. So I think it's sort of like that.
That seems to be something they're doing a lot more of now and a lot better now. I remember when the first X-Men movie came out, there really wasn't too many X-Men comics on the stand that would reflect what was going on in the movie. And now they're really ramping that up.
I think now that Marvel has sort of taken over, even the movies especially, and having control over it, they're able to cross-pollinate, as you were saying, everything. Like, so you get the animation, you get the TV, you get the movies, and then you can still get the toy line and the comic books and sort of bring everybody together. And I think that's some of the genius that's going on now is like, let's get them back in the way we can. And can we get back into stores and buy comics again? If they like the TV show, they like the movie, let's provide them with something that the parents also know is safe. that you can give to young kids, like my kids. Like that was my big thing moving forward when I was younger. When they were younger, was to get them books that they could read. There was a lot of comics that weren't available, and I didn't know how to get into this kind of stuff where you give them an Avengers animation comic or a Spider-Man animation. The parents automatically know, oh, it's the same stuff that I saw on the Disney Channel, but it's safe for my kids. And that's the thing. You have to get more kids involved in comics these days.
I always say that. I say, as much as I love comics as an adult, I don't know anybody who started reading comics as an adult. They always started as a kid,
As long as there's not this stigma of, it's juvenile, it's not. You bring them young and you say, these are okay, comics are cool. They can take you to as many places as Harry Potter books take you. These books can take you farther.
Yeah, it's almost like graduating. It's like, okay, you start with that stuff that's more accessible, and then you graduate to the older material, and I don't know, that's how I look at it anyway. But.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's what my thing was, to let's bring them in, let's show them a good time, and then eventually they will get older and not feel like, oh, this is just comics, who cares? And they'll grow and say, oh, how did I realize there's this whole other thing there that that's more adult, and like my kids, they graduated from Teletubbies to moving up, and they sit and they play Modern Warfare now. So their tastes have changed, but they've kind of grown within book reading to catch more stuff. So that's what we have to do, is sort of give them early on.
So, after having worked on this all this time, do you now have any interest in writing for the animated series?
I would do it in a heartbeat, but they have so many. I mean, these are the Joes, the action people. They know what they're doing. So I'd be like a small fish in a very big pond. So I don't think I need mine.
What do you have upcoming after the adaptation of that series?
For Marvel, mostly just the lettering stuff. I have a book coming out from Arcade that's coming out in a couple of weeks. I just got the hard copy of it. It's called Cowboy. It's a hardcover book. It's an all-ages book.
It's kind of it looks leather-bound, sort of.
Yeah, it's a regular book, but it really looks like it's leather-bound. It's debossed, and it's got the gold leaf on it. Really good looking product. I'm really proud of the job they're doing. So that'll be out in a couple of weeks. In a couple of weeks, there's an announcement that came in. I'm not even allowed to talk about it, but it's with a very big name. And
can you say it in Pig Lab? It's indecipherable.
Damn. No, I was really I'm told to really keep quiet on this one, but it's actually outside of comics. So it's going to be a big thing coming up. So April 10th is the announcement. So just keep your ears to the ground.
Any more Pet Avengers or Pet Avengers?
Speaking of the animation, if Jeff Loeb, I would kiss him on the lips if he would do a Pet Avengers series for the animation. I know he was actually interested in them when I was doing them. I would love to see them adapted. I would like to do more. I think Marvel's core focus right now is on the main titles, the continuity comics.
Well, I don't know if you've not to talk about the competition, but they have those little DC shorts, like the one with Supergirl and her friends and stuff like that. And so it's not like a full length, animated thing, but
I tried to approach them and said, let's do something digital exclusive, a Franklin or a Pet Avengers or something that we could just. I said I'd do it for free. We'd put it up there and offer it as a gateway, especially on the comicsology and graphically. There's that. Hey, let's get that in somehow. It's a freebie. Yeah. So I would like to do it. We'll see. I mean, again, a lot of it is based on numbers and who's buying.
The annoying stuff.
Sales. Who cares? I don't care about that. I just want to do it.
Just do the fun.
But they have, it goes all the way to the top. Their set goals and where they plan to take things. So, I'm just a small guy trying to get a little bit of work here and there.
Very cool.
I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.